Okay. Lighting still okay, Sarah? Okay. Our next writer is Mr. Peter Stern. He's been a writer or editor of some sort for most of his life and has even made a living at it in various colleges and universities and as a freelancer, which makes him really unique in this crowd. He expects that his obituary, to be written in the far distant future, will include the words, loved books, baseball, and dogs. His first two readings at Waterline Writers were about books and baseball. This one is about dogs. Peter, please.
I should give you a little bit of background on this. This was a story that was written especially for an event which Waterline Writers collaborated with the Anderson Animal Shelter in South Elgin for an event to honor and encourage their donors, which I'm happy to say went very well. It's also a story that I never really imagined that I would be writing because although I love dogs, I don't always love dog stories. But sometimes things grab hold and refuse to be ignored, so perhaps you'll like this one. Poor Peter, my friend sighed. Are you always going to be the last to know? She was convinced that fate had predetermined events without any need for my consent. I don't put much stock in fate, but maybe she's right. There are things about the scruffy mutt I can't explain. Take his arrival, for example. My wife whistled once, and a terrified stray came running. The pup launched himself at full throttle, a warmth-seeking missile with a locked-on guidance system. Down the sidewalk he streaked, across the street and into the yard without veering 1 degree from his true course. His speed and accuracy on this mission would earn him the name Radar. My wife, Michelle, had been pacing the front yard with the dog we called, for obvious reasons, the Wagster. They were patrolling there because long walks had become too difficult for the medium-sized black Labrador mix. That very afternoon, we had been at the veterinarian's office where a bright splotch on the X-ray film showed a cancer that had metastatized. She was in her last weeks with us. Despite her utterly common appearance, Wagster was anything but an ordinary dog. She knew all of her toys by name and would fetch the correct one from the next room upon request. She was so intelligent, I swear that my speech pathologist wife had almost taught her to talk. Headstrong and possessive, Wagster believed that our carpenter neighbor had built our front porch specifically for her and was highly put out by the presence of an unauthorized human, to say nothing of an alien dog or cat. She could raise an intimidating ruckus when so offended. After a decade of such companionship, we didn't think we could face life without her. Perhaps she didn't either. Maybe she sent for reinforcements. When the small stray that answered Michelle's whistle appeared in the yard without collar or tags, Wagster's expressive face showed nothing but disdain. She retreated into the house. I could almost hear her voice. I call for backup, and this is what they send? Scruffy mutt with a gimpy leg? This is what's supposed to take care of my humans? He's nothing but skin and bones. He's filthy, and he doesn't look very bright. I suppose you have to take what's available on short notice. I'm sure that's what she would have said if she spoke English. And she would have been right on all counts. The pup weighed less than 14 pounds. His coarse fur was matted and caked with dirt, and he held one hind leg aloft when he went downstairs. He was no canine genius either. I don't know what it takes to turn such a creature out into the night, or to cause him so much pain that he needs to escape. I hope I never know. But later we understood that someone had done just that. The little dog's experience had taught him to be wary of both humans and other dogs. He lingered in the yard, but would not come close enough to be corralled. He adamantly refused to come inside. Wasn't about to leave either. So he just peered longingly in through the front door where he stood on the porch. On Wagster's porch. Uh-oh, this can't be good, I thought as Wagster approached. Instead of a ruckus, she pressed her nose gently against the inside of the screen door. The pup pressed his against the outside so that the wet noses met through the wire mesh. She breathed out. He breathed in. Out, in, out, in. 1 minute went by, then 2. Exhale, inhale. Another minute passed. Finally, Wagster backed away, curled up on the couch, and did not so much as look at the interloper for the rest of the night. I opened the door. Radar took his first steps into our house. Amazing. A few hours later, he was trusting enough to snuggle into my lap and fall fast asleep. Amazing, yes. Something had unquestionably passed between the two dogs, something that had changed everything. But this still cannot be, I thought. We have a sick dog, and we don't want her stressed in whatever time she has left. Besides, we need to return the little guy to his rightful owners, don't we? We tried. We put flyers on telephone poles. We took out a newspaper ad. No response. We asked every kid who rang our doorbell on Halloween if they knew anyone who had lost a dog. None did. But still, he can't stay. It wouldn't be right. We can't do this now. Not now. The animal control department in our town works exclusively with a no-kill shelter. I called, but by then, fate was working overtime. I'm sorry, we can't come today, the man said. I'm the only one here. Everybody else is on a fishing trip in Wisconsin. Fishing trip? Really? Wisconsin? On a Tuesday? Well, come tomorrow. Say, what kind of dog is he? He sounds pretty cute. Yeah, cute. He still can't stay. Come tomorrow. Tomorrow came and went. I called again. We'll be there before noon tomorrow, I promise, the man said. By noon the next day, even I was getting the message. We couldn't send Radar home. Radar was home. It was barely more than a week later when we had to perform our last duty for Wagster. We thought it would be easier at home than for her to make one final frightening trip to the veterinary clinic. As the young woman veterinarian and her assistant tearfully carried out Wagster's body wrapped in a sheet, Michelle and I stood by weeping. Come on, let's get out of here, I said, trying to regain composure. I don't remember where we went or what we did, but I know that we dreaded going home for the first time without Wagster there to greet us. But when I turned the key and pushed open the door, the house was not empty. Radar was there needing to be fed and walked, and we realized that Wagster had indeed taken care of us for one last time. A few weeks after Radar settled in, I found my wife standing in front of a painting that had hung in our living room for years. The artist titled the painting Waiting, but it's not always easy to see why. It's a picture of a yellow house with a big porch on a tree-lined street. It's not really our house, but it looks a lot like it. Michelle swallowed hard and said, "Come look at this," as she pointed to the place where the artist had included a tiny figure of a small dog anticipating the return of a beloved human. The figure is a near-perfect image of Radar. We always loved that painting. How could we have known that we were the ones who were waiting?